This guy made 207 ETH this month flipping NFTs. That's over $500,000. And we're gonna talk to him in today's video. He's gonna reveal all the tricks, tips, secrets, and strategies that make him a successful full-time NFT trader. But since we're just giving this out for free, you're gonna have to do some things for me. You're gonna have to like this video, comment below, and click that subscribe button. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. But let's just jump into the video today with maybe the hottest NFT trader in the world right now. So I'm with Eric. You can find him at EB7 on Twitter. We'll do a little pop tag here, but one of my favorite current traders right now on Twitter. I mean, you've had a huge month. We're actually gonna throw up some of your tweets here, have you walk us through some of these insane trades you've been making. So the first one, your April flipping report. So you have it at 207 ETH. Well, just, well, let's start here. 34 Adidas. That's a pretty high conviction play.
Yeah, Adidas was something that I mean, I called it out on my Twitter at least like 3 or 4 times. I told people, hey, you definitely want to buy this. I bought it a little bit ago. I think it was like a month and a half ago. Adidas was sitting at 0.9. When you see a brand like that, it doesn't matter what their media plan is. At some point, one announcement's going to come in, and you obviously no disrespect to any projects here, but you see a lot of the smaller projects sitting at 3, 4, 5 ETH at least one time in their history on a pump. So there's no reason Adidas, who's partnered, with Pixel Vault, with Bored Ape, and all of this, will not hit 2 at one point. We all know that they had a plan, they had phases, and it was just an obvious, easy play. It's never going to go below 0.9, 0.8, so you don't really have much downside. I went in, I threw in 34 Adidas at 0.9, 1 ETH cost, and I kind of just left them in my wallet. I never looked at it. They had a couple of pumps, and I offloaded a bit at like 2 ETH, 2.2, and then the majority, which was these last 34. At one point, I got up to like 40 something. I offloaded all during the lead up to this announcement. I called it 1.5 just because their fees are a bit high. So I estimate on the low end, but they were sales around like 1.8, 1.9, most of them.
Yeah, I love that point you make there, because that's something anyone could kind of take into context is if it's Nike, Artifact, Adidas, they're gonna have these big announcements, and you can kind of ride that and sell into the pumps. The other thing I saw on this April flipping report that was crazy, so you had like 6 beans, 2 floor Azukis, and a rares. I mean, so how did you time that perfectly, like right before all of, Azuki pumped like crazy this month?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me like how I know when to time things, I guess, and it is a lot of market studying. I do believe that money just flows from doodles, apes, mutants, Azukis, clones, and the only thing you have to do is be 1 week ahead of the other people that are going to shift into it. So the second you see one of them slow down, that's when you should be going in, right? Like they start slowing down, and they usually last around 2 to 3 weeks slowing down. So you want to go in on the tail end of that, and don't worry about taking maximum profits on the one you're in. If it's pumping, you don't have to time the top. So what I did was I sold whatever collection I was in at the time. I think it was doodles. I sold the majority of my doodles. I went ahead and got into Azuki. I saw that it was pretty slow. The 2 floors that I had weren't even floors. I just consider them floors because the way I do it is I buy low and I just get out as quickly as possible. They were like sloth Azuki and whatever. I don't really care. If you buy low enough and you time it right and you don't get married to it, it's perfect. I went on Looks Rare. I found the rare one for 34, and yeah, just a little bit of patience. It's not really as hard as people make it seem. The only hard thing is your emotions. Like, people get attached to things. The second you can kind of detach from that and just play the cycle and be ahead of everyone, that's how it really works. So I just saw Azuki lingering for way too long. I have faith. You have to have faith in the project. I've been in Azuki since pre-reveal. I've flipped in and out of it like 10 times. And yeah, timing was great as expected, and then I got out.
Yeah, I think the timing was great. We've noticed now people starting to buy back into doodles in the last couple days. That's hit an all-time high. But I think another great point about not being emotionally attached. I got greedy recently. I had a couple moonbirds, and I was like, oh, once it hits 35, I'm selling, no matter what. Got to 35, and I'm like, well, what if it hits 40? What if it hits 45? And I got so greedy. The top came in, then went to the bottom. I ended up having to sell for 30 because I did get emotionally attached. I got greedy. I started thinking about all these crazy scenarios in my head. So let's talk about some harsh lessons we've learned, because I did notice on your April flipping report, and I appreciate the honesty, 17 ETH loss on gambles. What did you learn anything off of those specific gambles?
Mainly, I learned that I'm still a degen. I can't help it, but this is like every month thing. I kind of reward myself by, having a little fun. So I have like a group that I'm very close with, the Flippers Anon group, we call it. And, it's all like very big flippers that I look up to and I learn from. I'm newer in the space. I've only been here for like 7 months or so. And these guys are OGs. And here and there, we buy a Clonex vial and we say, let's open this and see what happens. And we always get a floor, or I go into like some smaller projects. I think it was like this month was Aki's story and like 2 other ones that just like I play the pre-reveal, I see what happens. Maybe I hit a 101. Usually lose all my money. Aki's story I think went to 0 and a couple others as well. So that was no fun. But I mean, I guess the lesson here for everyone is mainly don't do that. Don't gamble on smaller end projects pre-reveal and all of this, hoping for the jackpot, because I'm buying 10 at a time, 15 at a time, all of this, and I'm still not hitting. This is something you do if you have like a lot of liquidity and then you want to just have a little fun, but it's not a plan you should do to set up and be like, okay, this is what's going to make me go to the next step.
Totally agree with you on that, and it is fun to gamble. I get caught up in a lot of that stuff. Okay, let's go to the next tweet. This one, you said, recap of tonight, bought a Mura flower for 5 ETH during mint, sold for 7 ETH 1 hour later. There's a second part of this tweet, but what can you tell us about okay, so everyone's panicking, everybody on Twitter is talking about, the deeds, land sale, and you start looking somewhere completely different to make a flip in an hour. How important is it to look where other people aren't looking during these chaotic moments?
Yeah, and that goes to kind of like the cycle, especially in chaotic moments, because what happens, like, especially with something like this, you have a 100K collection. We usually get FOMO out of 10K collections. Now you have a 100K collection, which only means more and more people are going to be talking about this. It's the first of its kind. Everyone is so busy. There's people that aren't even buying, that are just on Twitter putting, right? Like their mind is on this. They want to be involved. They want their engagement. They want this and that. And like, it's cool, man. We both have pretty big Twitters and we like our engagement and it is what it is, but I like ETH more. So you know what? I'm going to take advantage of all of you, engagement farming and then trying to up your gas and, I don't have enough gas, right? Like I need to buy the pre-reveal. What happens? They panic sell other places, because I think a lesson a lot of people need to learn is it's okay to miss out if it costs you a bag you believe in, right? A lot of times you see people accept ETH bids, they get out of collections early or whatever because they want to catch something else, but you should only be catching something else if it doesn't force you to liquidate something you have conviction in. And I was looking at monoliths, flowers, and beans during that time. My highest conviction play out of those 3 are the flowers. So when I saw them go from 7.5 to 5, I reached out, those collections have a lot of fees. So I would go to the name, I would go to, usually they're in the Clonex Discord, and I searched them up. I agreed to deal with them, ran it through trust trade, just like, I don't recommend this to anyone, but like, obviously it's an advantage to having a name in this industry and all of that. Like, you don't want to go against someone or like try and screw someone that is in like, pretty big on Twitter and all of that. So I just did it because I was like, look, you'll save on gas. You don't have to set up a trade. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything like that. I risked it. Obviously, I had a good conversation with the person beforehand, and yeah, I took it for 5 and instantly they flew up and I let it go right away.
So the second part of the tweet is you bought a mutant for 37 ETH private sale, which you kind of just touched upon why the private sale is important. You insta-claimed the land, floored it before the undercutters sold for 37.5, mutant land selling for 18.
It was a good night, yeah.
Night profit 20 ETH. You kind of remind me of like LeBron James or like Chris Paul at the end of the game. Like the game slows down for you. Things move really fast for me. I'm not as calm and collected as you are. How are you able to kind of slow things down and work methodically when everything is so chaotic?
I think it's just like nothing has changed, man. Like everyone around you is in chaos, but like, what you're doing, like I don't need, I go into the same negotiations. I go into the same channels. It's the same market. And that play with the mutants was just knowing how it operates. When I had no ETH, I started off this like with 4 ETH. I had nothing, like compared to all these players. I could never imagine apes and mutants and all of this. I would still watch them. You have to understand how the market behaves. So what did I understand is that every time there's an airdrop, the mutants drop higher, drop more than any other collection after an airdrop. So this play was like, okay, I can probably convince someone in the sell channel that, hey, we're about to have a huge drop. You might want to offload this to me now and not take the risk. I convinced the person to give me it for 37. Gas came down, and obviously all the people that missed out on the public mint, we're gonna allocate something to mutants. You can't allocate something to an ape. It's 160 ETH. So you know, it was gonna go into mutants. Floor shot up to 42. I was ready. I claimed on high gas as soon as the tweet came out, and then the floor was 40. I knew the dump was gonna happen. I didn't get greedy. I insta listed for 37.5, 2.5 ETH below floor, and it got snapped up instantly. So it was just, I guess, understanding the market and realizing that nothing has changed, man. Like, if you get caught up in the chaos, things change, but just play the same game you've been learning, and it's pretty easy.
It's like what they always say: you didn't change, the money changed you. Don't change, guys. All right, I want one last tweet. It's your pinned tweet. Talked about how you start off with 4 ETH, which you just mentioned, and got up to 330 ETH in 4 months. Through countless trade, risk, all-ins, paper hand. Look, I hate when people call other people lucky in this NFT space. There's not a lot of luck. It's a lot of strategy. 4 ETH to 330 ETH in 4 months. Somebody out there watching this video right now has 4 ETH. Can you give them a piece of advice on how to navigate the markets?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I do want to, before I give advice, because I know people are going to be like, oh, I can't just go all in, right? I really want to stress this in the most, like, in the nicest way. If 4 ETH is your whole bank account, please do not go in with 4 ETH. It will force you into plays and panic and all this that you should not be playing with. This market is a very, like, odds are you're gonna lose. The odds are against most people. We see all the success because we're on Twitter and we're on YouTube and we're on all this, and like, but all the people that don't have Twitter and all of this, and there's a lot of people that lose. So you have to be comfortable with this being money that you can lose. And then I think it's time. You cannot, I don't think anyone can succeed in this space if you don't have the time to truly learn it. I will say major red flags if you're starting off and you want to make money. If a project is promising, hey, we're going to have a token and their floor is 1 ETH, probably the token is not a good idea. So don't fall for the token. I lost a lot of money on Stack Toads, lost a lot of money on Pixel Vault at the time, you know, when Beanie was there. You have to learn the space, the trends, as well as the people who are true and honest, right? I followed the wrong people early on and I got burned. So I think you need to really take the time for everything. You don't have to always spend your money. Wait for the right opportunity. Find the right teams that aren't promising you that they're going to take you to space and they're going to drop a token and they're going to be Disney and they're going to do this and they haven't even launched yet. Find a team and a community that's strong and start there. And then the next step is, obviously, if you see profit when you're building, you have to take it. This is something I told someone yesterday. They told me they're very emotionally attached to their things. And I told them, here's an easy way to get unattached. Anytime you think about being attached, look at your computer and see how ridiculous you sound by telling yourself, I am attached to a monkey on my computer in a picture. Okay. And let that sink in that you don't want to take $100,000 profit. It'll detach you very quickly. And it's the way that you can make money and move forward. You need to take your profits. It is what it is. When you have to build up, you need to get to that point where, okay, now I can hold. Because if you have 4 ETH, you can't really hold, or you always have a ceiling. Take your profits, keep climbing slowly and slowly. And when you see a really good opportunity, you have to all in it. I made a very big trade. I bought a whale doodle for 40 ETH when I had 40 ETH in my wallet. 1 week later, I flipped it for 130, right? But it was an all in. I had faith in doodles. I did my research. I moved in, and you're going to have to take that risk. And I mean, if you see it going down, cut your losses. You don't have to write stuff to zero. You can cut losses in this. A lot of people just write everything to zero, cut them and move forward and learn from it.
I think the great point there, like the whale doodle, that's only a move that comes around, you know, a handful of times a year. So put yourself in the position where then you can go all in, like Eric said, and tons of great advice. Do not overextend yourself. The crypto market is extremely volatile. Neither of us are financial advisors. We are, again, like you said, gambling on cartoon monkey JPEGs. So you got to be able to put the time in. You got to dedicate yourself. Eric, if people want to follow you more, Twitter, what else? Where else should people find you?
I really just on Twitter. I'll leave the videos to you. I am a retired content creator. I no longer do it. I am full-time DJing, and really just EB7 on Twitter. And I usually make a lot of calls there. Obviously not financial advice. I just like to be transparent with everyone. This is what I'm doing. If you want to do it, and I give a report at the end of month of my moves, how they panned out and all of that. And I try to interact with people. Obviously some stuff gets lost, but yeah, I guess just Twitter.
EB7, Eric, thanks so much for coming on. Honestly, the best Twitter account right now to follow. I mean, the past couple of days, I've been following it, and I've just been like, I don't know if you've ever seen like the GIF of like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson clapping at like, I've just been like, wow, this guy is impressive. So definitely want to have you on again soon, but in the meantime, make sure to go follow Eric on Twitter, and talk to you later, man.
Yeah, see you, man.
And that's the video for today, snipers. If you liked what Eric had to say today, he's actually joining my NFT project, Only Snipers, as an advisor. He's gonna be in the Discord doing AMA, he's gonna be doing content, giving out tips and tricks to my holders. So shout out to Eric. Thanks again to you, bro. And guys, please make sure to like and comment on this video. Because if you don't like and comment on this video, you know what? Go hang out with Jeff Bezos and go hang out with Bill Gates, all right? I'll hang out here with the snipers where we all come together each week to say, gang, gang!